Vitamin E acetate in bronchoaveolar lavage fluid associated with EVALI. Definition: Vitamin E acetate is the ester of vitamin E and acetic acid. The structure shows a long aliphatic tail that can penetrate a layer of surfactant to align the molecule in parallel with phospholipids. Phosphatidylcholines undergo transition from a gel to a liquid crystalline phase when exposed to increasing amount of tocopherol such as vitamin E acetate. Transition into a liquid crystalline phase will cause the surfactant to lose its ability to maintain the surface tension that is necessary to support respiration in the lung, thus providing a possible mechanism by which vitamin E acetate could cause respiratory dysfunction.
Welcome to another MedCram lecture. We're going to talk about EVALI, or e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury. And this is an update based on the CDC's recent study that was released here at the early part of November. So up to this point, they've been looking at surveys, they've been talking to people. What we've actually got here are 29 bronchoalveolar lavage fluid from patients. So this is not survey, this is actual isolating chemicals that were in bronchoalveolar fluid. So how did they get that? They did a bronchoscopy and they went down into the lungs and they were actually able to wash and suction out the fluid that was in the alveolus, take it back, and then they were able to collect those and then analyze them. And they analyzed it for a number of different compounds. So what did they find? Well, it's interesting. What they found in 100% of them, and this is going to be the smoking gun perhaps, in 100% of the samples in these patients who were sick, in 29 of the 2,000 so far to this point, they found vitamin E acetate. Now, interestingly, in 82% of the samples that they got, they found THC, and in 62% of the samples, they found nicotine. Now, there was a lot of speculation leading up to this that it was the vitamin E that might have been causing all of these things because people have been vaping for years without this EVALI issue coming up. And so there was thought that a lot of the black market products which had the vitamin E in it were the actual cause for the problem. But we didn't know for sure, and this is why the CDC was tasked into investigating this and holding back on making that judgment until they were absolutely sure. Now, in this case, all we have is 100% association. Association doesn't always mean causation, but it certainly is the first step. Now, vitamin E acetate is fine for oral ingestion into the stomach, but nowhere was it safe or said to be safe for inhaling it. Vitamin E is a very sticky oil, and it can accumulate. And again, 100% of these patients that they got the 29 samples on were positive for vitamin E acetate. Now, what was it not positive for? So interesting things that they did not find in there were plant oils, petroleum distillates like mineral oil, MCT oil, or terpenes. So where do you see this vitamin E acetate containing vape or e-cigarette products found? They found them from friends, from family, in person, or online dealers. So that's the ones that you've got to be careful about. Now just realize that the time of this update is the beginning of November. Specifically on November 5th, 2019, the epidemic is up to 2,051 cases of EVALI, and up to 39 people in the United States have died as a result of this problem. So what does the CDC recommend at this point? Well, they recommend not buying any kind of vape products from the street. They recommend not buying any vape products that have THC in it, and they recommend not buying any modified vape products. And of course, if you've got a child or you know of a child that's less than 18, they shouldn't be vaping, period. And if you really want to be absolutely sure, the best way to do it is not to vape or smoke at all, because there is no vape or smoke product that is 100% safe. The FDA recommends using an FDA-approved method of smoking cessation, and if you're not smoking, don't go back to smoking either. And if you are going to vape, remember this, it's pretty obvious that you could have respiratory complaints. Be particularly concerned if you have signs of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, or fever, because it is these complaints, along with respiratory symptoms, that makes EVALI of particular concern. And if you like this video and you want to see more educational videos, I encourage you to go to medcram.com, where we have videos that teach you about chest x-rays, ABGs, acid base, pneumonia, asthma, COPD, pulmonary function tests, and a whole host of other topics. Thanks for joining us.
Applications in medicine. Vitamin E acetate is commonly used as a dietary supplement and in skin creams. It is common in multivitamins and is enzymatically cleaved to vitamin E during absorption.
Health officials have spent months investigating an outbreak of serious lung illnesses tied to e-cigarette use and vaping. They've zeroed in on a substance called vitamin E acetate as a potential culprit. But what is vitamin E acetate and how does your body process it? Vitamin E is what it sounds like. It's a vitamin, but it's pretty chemically unstable on its own. It's more stable when something called an acetate group gets added to it. Vitamin E acetate is often put in skin creams and supplements. It's generally seen as safe when it's applied to the skin or when it's swallowed. When you ingest it, that acetate group gets cut off by enzymes in your gastrointestinal system. The vitamin then gets trapped in these tiny particles called mixed micelles. These are natural nanoparticles that are made by bile acids that get secreted by your body. Those particles take the vitamin, ferry it through the stomach's mucus layer and into epithelial cells. The vitamin then gets repackaged again inside the epithelial cells into a new kind of nanoparticle, and it gets sent out into your bloodstream. But what happens if you inhale a vitamin E acetate because it's been added to a vaping product? When you breathe it in, it doesn't break down the same way it does when you ingest it. Those enzymes aren't there to cut off the acetate group and send it on its way. And vitamin E acetate can hang around in the lungs for a while, which experts think can interfere with lung function and cause serious health issues.
Pros and cons. Vitamin E acetate is commonly used as a dietary supplement and skin creams. It is common in multivitamins, and the cons are possible mechanisms by which vitamin E acetate could cause respiratory dysfunction. Another potential harmful effect of vitamin E acetate that may contribute to lung injury occurs when it's heated in e-cigarette products. Heating vitamin E acetate in this device may create ketone by splitting of the acetate group from some or all of the vitamin E.
Well, 2 deaths in Louisiana have been linked to vaping. That's according to the Louisiana Department of Health. A professor at LSU School of Public Health sat down with Erica Ferrando to discuss his concerns with that trend.
The bottom line is the medical community is still figuring this out.
More than 40 deaths in the country have been linked to vaping, and the CDC believes vitamin E acetate could be the reason.
Oil that's essentially added to make it thick and to help it vaporize.
Fluid samples were tested from lungs of 29 patients with e-cigarette or vaping use lung injury. The CDC says vitamin E acetate was present in all of them. It's used as a thickening agent when THC is added, so it's not in an e-cigarette you'd legally buy in a store.
And these are among young people. That's what's really scary.
Dr. Edward Trapito is a professor at LSU School of Public Health. He's been an expert in tobacco use, smoking, and now vaping for years. He's concerned with the number of kids who vape.
It's a big problem.
The flavors like bubblegum, mint, and watermelon appeal to kids.
We know about flavorings and what they do if you add them to foods. We have no idea what they do if you're inhaling them.
As a parent, it might be hard to spot, but Trapito says now is the time to have a conversation.
At this point, I would say it's an emergency in a sense, and so you've got to ask the kid.
Learn what the products look like. Is your kid having difficulty breathing, feeling lightheaded, or having GI problems?
If your kid smells like a pineapple or a pina colada, then I begin to ask questions. And I don't mean to be funny about it, but you're not smelling tobacco smoke.
The CDC says there is not enough evidence to rule out other chemicals besides vitamin E acetate contributing to the outbreak. In Louisiana, a fifth of vaping patients used only nicotine without THC.
Stop vaping until we figure this out. Certainly stop vaping using any product that's been altered.
Because at this rate, more kids try e-cigarettes as more people end up in hospitals. Erica Ferrando, Eyewitness News.
Both of those vaping-linked deaths in Louisiana were reported last month. According to the CDC, there have been 54 deaths across the country.
Issue of plea in Ecuador. In Ecuador, its sale is free and it is used to combat chronic disease, improve skin and hair. Conclusion. Vitamin E acetate may play a role in EVALI, a conclusion supported by the high detection rate of vitamin E acetate in bowel fluid from case patients who live in 60 states across the United States, and the absence of vitamin E acetate in sample obtained from healthy